Hi, Delaney. Welcome to Power Women Wellness. How are you today?
I'm good. Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to connect with you and kind of be on the same wavelength together.
I know, excited to talk business, work, and then just also your health. I know there's a couple of topics that are really awesome. And I know we're going to be talking a little bit too about your sobriety journey, which is so funny because I just interviewed someone on theirs yesterday. And so I'm loving this trend. And as we're recording this episode, I think I have it slotted for January, which is absolutely perfect just because in January, everyone's thinking about their goals and like what they're doing. So I'm like, wow, it's so funny that these are topics that we're talking just naturally. It's going to be out in January. So cool.
I love it.
So, okay, you've had a very diverse background, everything from having your background in speech language pathology, education, marketing, branding, partnerships. So, all of that together, what led you to founding Language of Intention, which is your business?
I think just my curiosity for connecting with people, honestly. So I felt like if I started a consulting business, I would have a vehicle that would not limit me from connecting with anyone and everyone. So that's kind of where it started. But like you said, I was in speech language
Yeah.
pathology. It felt a little limiting. I was like, I want to do some PR stuff. I want to connect with athletes. I want to connect with yoga teachers. And it just kind of opened up my own little lane for myself.
Well, I mean, that's the ultimate like communication. So you really did start with communication and almost every single one of the things I listed. I'm like, yeah, it's so huge in human communication. And I know that you have worked too with like athletes, which who is primarily who you like to work with now? Is there a certain demographic?
I would say now in the athlete sector, it's primarily young women who are like
Yeah.
wanting to make an impact in the world. I've worked with male athletes, female athletes, but what I find is that it's more about the passion for wanting to like let their platform be bigger than themselves. So whatever that looks like.
Oh, I love that. Okay, amazing. And tell us a little bit before we move on, because I know that there's some questions that I have too about a current role that you have that relates to like Gen Z. But tell us more about like what the language of intention like looks like behind the
Yeah.
scenes. Like how do you help people?
Yeah, so it's really just a consulting business that I've grown just kind of on the side of all of my professional and endeavors. It's just kind of been my side lane for me to, yeah, provide branding support, provide coaching, life coaching, really at the center of all things branding and marketing comes down to do you actually believe in yourself? Do you have a plan? Do you know where you're headed and where you're going? So I still work with some athletes, very different than what I was doing when I worked at the University of Texas, very hands on. And it really ties back into my wealth and my wellness. I needed to be able to spend some time nurturing my own soul. And so now I
Yeah.
work in tech, which allows me to have a bit more of a balanced life and then still support athlete branding on a much less involved scale.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, I love that. I love that you realized that you needed that balance pretty early on. And just like I like how you pivot. You just tend to pivot and like do what you need to do, like what feels right. Sometimes it takes people decades and decades to figure out like how to do that. So I love that you do that so early on. And real quick too, my one of my previous assistants, she played soccer for UT, and I think her husband also played football for UT. And I don't know how we got in on this conversation, but she was telling me that back in the day, like athletes like couldn't do that. Like college athletes could not have like anything outside of the college. Like they couldn't have their own
Yeah.
brand. That's pretty crazy considering they don't get paid if I'm right on that, right?
Prior to 2021, they couldn't profit off of anything.
Right. Correct. That's the craziest
Personal
thing.
brand, yeah, the amount of time they put in, nothing could be for profit.
Okay, and so that's obviously switched, and that's like kind of the things that you are helping these athletes like with.
So yeah, so my role originally at UT, that's what I was doing. Now I'm a little bit more removed from the NIL sector. It's more just branding at
Mm,
large, branding,
okay. Okay.
influencer marketing partnerships. But the role that I started with was an inaugural position, basically to be like, how can we help them profit off their brands? That's what it started as.
Wow. Wow, that's crazy. I find it fascinating with other industries I'm like so unaware of because I did not realize that because I was thinking like, yeah, if you play a college sport and I know they don't get paid by the school to do that, it's like they should be able to do something to generate like income
Yeah.
because of their really hard schedules. Anyway, that was a side note. Okay, so yes, tell me more about like what you do now working with the Gen Z engagement. Where do you feel like a lot of brands do wrong, or maybe they just don't understand how they connect with the younger audience? Because I feel like, yeah, connecting with every generation is very different.
Yeah. Well, number one, so I have a full-time role with Idomoo, which is a tech-based company, and it's an international tech company that is headquartered in New York, and it also has branches in Israel and the UK. And so, what's been
Oh,
really cool about the role that I took there is that number one, they're very supportive of me growing my own personal brand,
well,
but number two, they're really great on feedback and me providing insights to kind of that Gen Z approach to social selling and business development from not like quick transactional sales, but more so nurturing and creating true engaged audiences. One thing I'll say about Gen Z from a marketing standpoint is Gen Z craves like authenticity. They crave
yeah.
personalization. And so it's been awesome working for, it's a personalized video company. So what we do is take large amounts of data and we sync it into a very personalized experience. So it would be, you open a video as a, let's just say you're a bank customer. Hey, Delaney, this month you saved this amount of money. This is where you could improve. This is how much interest. So it really makes the marketing approach very personal.
Oh, I love that. What would you say to brands? This is a question that came to mind. I don't know if I necessarily have this problem because I'm just very open in general. I don't like putting on this professional persona. I am me, and you're just gonna get all of me in the same me, whether you're my friend or you're my patient. And that's just how I roll. It's always how I roll. I feel very inauthentic if I don't roll that way. But I know a lot of brands who want that personal persona and they really struggle with being authentic. Again, this is not my problem at all. So I'm like, I can't relate to that. What would you say to them? Like, what are some ways that they can become authentic, but also, be the brand they want to be? But I think I would say even with millennials, definitely Gen Z and probably other younger generations, I think a lot of people nowadays, they don't buy the brand, they buy the person behind the brand. At least that's what I've
Yeah.
seen. So tell me your thoughts on that.
I think that's why influencer marketing is so important because you're not
Mm,
putting your entire brand into one influencer, but you're allowing a variety of influencers represent your brand from their authentic point of view. And it allows you to see that, hey, this product has different archetypes of people that use it, that can use it. One thing specifically with like Idomoo, they've been a huge supporter of me using LinkedIn branding just to be like, hey, this is who I am. This is what I stand for. And Idomoo comes up in all of my conversations because that's what I'm focused on a daily basis. That's what my objectives and my goals are focused around. But they've made it very clear that, hey, you're a full person. Go talk about wellness. Go talk about the things you're passionate about. And I think when you can connect with people that are part of a large brand, and I think LinkedIn is a great place to do that, where if brands could actually encourage their employees to speak on things that they're passionate about, you could really see who the people within the organization are. And then the influencer route allows you to see who the consumers are.
Oh, interesting. Okay. And tell us more if you, I guess I would say give two tips to how to make aligned partnerships in business because it's a crazy world out there and there's so many like tactics and strategies,
Yeah.
lots of influencers out there. So if you had to give someone two tips on really setting up the right partnership in business, what
Yeah.
would it be?
Number one, like authenticity and alignment, like make sure that it's someone that actually uses the product and or can
Wow.
speak to it organically. I have a couple examples that I could use, but I guess the best way to go about it quickly is that when someone is passionate and already uses a product, they're going to naturally sell it. They're going to naturally post about it. I can provide two quick examples. One is Madison Booker at the University of Texas. When I worked with her at Texas, she loved and continues to love Juiceland. And so we did a shoot last weekend. It was the second year in a row though, but the entire time she knows the menu. She knows, ooh, these oats are so good. Oh, you should try this smoothie. And she's actually naturally influencing the product with or without the camera on. So that's a huge indicator. And then number two, I think just like the mutual buy-in. Does it feel aligned in the sense that the brand, that person exemplifies what the brand is, but also does the person feel like the brand supports who they are and their expansiveness? And just the value alignment. You have to align with the values to make sure that it's going to be a good partnership through thick and thin.
Yeah. Do you feel that, especially with the influencer marketing nowadays, do you feel that how do I phrase this? Not dying in power, but I know that when it first started, I really didn't even think twice about like if I was influenced, I was influenced. But nowadays, I have switched to be like, they do have a partnership. Like, is it for the money or do they genuinely use the product? That sort of thing. And on our end as a business, anytime we've ever done anything influencer, while we definitely align on like values, we never got the ROI with someone that we paid and they mentioned and talked about the product. But when it is the natural, authentic flow, and honestly, some of those influencers literally paid for their own services. So it wasn't gifted, it wasn't whatever, but that huge rolling ROI, like beyond, right? And so do you feel like that is changing now that influencer marketing is becoming like it's just normal now? But I have found my mindset of it changing where I don't, you really have to convince me to be influenced because again, I don't know if you're prerogative is because you're just making money or if you genuinely love the product.
I think sometimes people focus so much on influencer marketing being you have 10,000, 20,000, 40,000 followers, when
Right?
really influencer marketing is referrals. Like
Yeah.
if there is one person that comes every week for a service and they've referred three friends to you already organically, that person's ROI might be way higher than the 30,000 follower influencer who came in for a service once, isn't really passionate about what you're doing. I know for myself, the tech program that I did to get into my current role, I've probably referred them just in the last couple of months, like close to $15,000 in business because I genuinely, and this isn't something you'll see
Love.
online. This is just
Yeah.
me genuinely caring about a product, seeing value in it. So I think rethinking who our influencers are too, who is already showing that they've put money, time, and appreciation into your business or your brand, and then how can you revisit them and incentivize that person? Can you offer them a trip for X amount of referrals and kind of reframing influencer marketing?
I love that. Amazing. I love that. Now, shifting gears a little bit, I know that you're certified in yoga and Ayurvedic nutrition. So tell us how you integrate that into your day-to-day life.
Yeah, I actually was going to go do my yoga certification in Costa Rica, and then COVID hit. So
Oh
I
no.
ended up studying yoga online. It was a very different trajectory, but what it's allowed me to do is just be present in my body. And with Ayurvedic nutrition, being able to really just like eat with the seasons, find myself in rhythm with whether it's the seasons, whether it's the time of day. And personally, for me, working remote allows me a lot more freedom and flexibility to do that. I have eight
Yeah.
hours of work that I need to put in a day, but nothing stops me from getting a quick movement break in the middle of the day, starting maybe a little bit earlier, working a little bit earlier. I love taking my dog out in the middle of the day. We'll go do some stretching, some yoga. So really just living a holistic life, personally and professionally.
Oh, I love that. I know that's
Yeah.
I totally agree with that. That has been my life for I've had my business for 10 years now. So we've always been virtual and it's always been so nice and flexible, but we are
Yes.
currently just signed a lease for an in-person clinic here in Austin, which don't get me wrong, I'm very excited to bring more modalities and to connect in person because I think after COVID, people long for that in-person connection. But as I was sitting and thinking about it, I'm like, wait, I always work out mid-morning. And like I
Yeah.
do these things, I'm like, oh, that's just gonna take and it's just going to be different. I'm going to have to take extra steps to make sure that, like, yes, food is on point and I'm still getting movement in. And yeah, I just can't at the drop of a dime be like, yeah, I'm in between appointments. Let me go for a walk outside. And I'm like, wait,
Yeah.
I think I might miss that.
It takes a little bit of planning ahead because I
Yes.
just worked in person for a year, and I was prior to that I was remote, and it's like you have to totally switch gears of how you have food on standby and like
Yes.
the way, like for me I would buy a bunch of different like berries so that I could have, anyway, I
I
gotta
love
eat
that.
what I gotta eat. You gotta get your nutrition.
Yes, oh my gosh, 100%. And like we'll have a break room and probably get like the air fryer that I have here. I'm totally spacing on the name. It's a really popular brand. Oh, it's bugging me that I don't know that. But anyways, and I was thinking because I was making dinner last night and I have a family, so I have to feed more than just me. And I was thinking like, oh, by the time I get home, it's probably going to be the time like we should be actually eating and not starting dinner. I'm like, well, I could always just like bring my dinner stuff and cook it in the air fryer and make it at work and then come home with a cooked meal. I'm not saying no to that.
I love it. Or maybe you push dinner back. Who knows? Maybe there's like a snack element. Who knows? You'll just have to find what works. And I think that's what a lot of it is it's that trial and error. Like, how does it make you feel?
Yeah.
Are you getting too hungry when it is time to eat? And that's something I work a lot with my nutritionist on is like, I can't be overwhelmed by eating because it's my source
Yeah.
of fuel. So
For
that's so
sure, for sure. Well, one actually last episode I interviewed someone and we talked a lot about her sobriety journey. And it's funny, there's something here then. She said the same thing. I asked about her movement and what she loves doing, and it was yoga. And so she said
yeah.
something very similar to you of being like just within, and actually no, it wasn't yoga. No, it was her was running. Never mind, just kidding. But it was the same. I think yoga was the one that she's like, from there, I'm there, but it's not something she does. Like she does running, but the same theme behind it of I was in my body. I was able to have time and space to think. Running
Mhm.
and yoga, it's kind of the same thing. Yoga is focusing on that breath, and then running, you can kind of just, yeah, work through it like mentally. So obviously there's something there about that, but I'd love to hear about your sobriety journey.
Yeah.
Um, and then I guess with that connection, where you find yoga being really helpful of being within your body through this journey of yours.
Yeah, I mean, it's a perfect example because alcohol and yoga to me are like total opposite sides of the spectrum. Alcohol is me not being really in control, not being
Same.
mindful. And I was I was in college, I was in grad school, and I started realizing I was like, I'm getting such bad anxiety when I drink. Like, I would drink, but then the next day I would
Mhm.
have almost like this crash of just feeling so anxious. And then I'd be back to school Monday and, I have all this stress and overwhelm. And I found that the excitement or the alcohol peak was always followed by a drop, and then it would set me back. So it would kind of disrupt my entire rhythm. It would also disrupt my sleep. It would disrupt just kind of my flow and also my confidence in myself when I would be in control all week and then I would drink and I'd be like, is this something I'm choosing or is it just kind of like I'm doing it habitually because everyone else is doing it? So
Mm.
I started paying a bit more attention to just what am I getting out of alcohol, and also in the context of being very holistic, I'm like, it is low key poison that I'm putting into my
Yeah.
body. So why am I eating so healthy, but then putting poison in? Like, why does
Yeah.
alcohol just get a different category? Anyway, fast forward to towards the end of grad school, I stopped drinking. That was 2021, and so I haven't drank. I've been sober for 4 years now, and just the amount of like clarity and peace, and it saved me a lot of hassle and chaos too. Because when you cut out drinking, you kind of cut out at least for me, the night scene and just
Yeah.
being
Late
out
night.
late, and it's just got me regulated on a routine. I go to bed around the same time every night.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just very peaceful. So with yoga, kind of tying it all into yoga, um, I'm able to have not escapes, but I'm able to channel some of that stress into, instead of avoidance, maybe like alcohol is, it's I'm
Yeah.
stressed with grad school. Let me avoid how I'm feeling. Yoga is I'm stressed. Let me channel that and like let the kind of that stress flow through my body. So it's
Yeah.
been such a great journey.
Ah, I love that so much. Like I said in the last episode, I have never been drunk in my life.
Oh
So
my
I think
gosh.
I know everyone's always like, "What? Are you joking?" I'm like, no, literally. I maybe have had a couple sips of alcohol. And honestly, it just came down to like I just didn't like the taste. Like and I never was in a
Yeah.
situation where I'm a little bit more of a challenger and a rebel naturally. So I want to say that. So anytime there was ever so many people doing everything, right? And when we're in our high school years and college years, everyone's drinking, everyone's partying. I myself has always been like, I want to do the opposite of what the majority of people are doing. That's just how I've always been wired. And so obviously that naturally made me run from it, but I also just didn't like the taste. So I never forced, like, it's like coffee. When you start drinking coffee, you might be like, this is disgusting, but you develop a taste for it. Well, I just
Yeah.
never really overcame that. I was just like, this is nasty. I'd have to have like chocolate cake or something else, or like sweet tea or
Yeah.
something like else. But no, I agree. And I'm loving, I would say the last couple years, the sober curious movement. Again, it's never really bothered me. I am so happy to like stand out and be different. So I know some people are a little nervous of feeling weird when they go sober or, just in those social settings and then everyone being like, why aren't you drinking or whatever. I don't even think twice, but I know some people do.
Yeah.
But now that it's becoming more and more popular, it's not like no one really bats an eye anymore. I'm just like, if you order a
Yeah.
mocktail or whatever, which I love.
I think it depends because, especially for me, early in the beginning, I did get a lot of, you're
Yeah.
lame. Why are you not drinking? What do you mean? And when you make a choice for yourself that's different than the people around you have expected of you. So, like
Yeah.
for you, I almost wonder because you never drank, it's like, oh, that's just her. But for me, there was a hard shift of like, come on, let's go out, let's drink. And I'm
True.
like, no, that's not what I'm doing anymore. And it was really isolating for a while. But I had to find the right people and the right alignment. And just like we talked about with partnerships, the right partnerships and the right friendships, they will push you to be more you, not, hey, hide
Yes.
that part of yourself. We don't want you to show up in this way. And I moved to Austin and I actually was like sober within like, I think I was sober when I moved to Austin in 2021. All my friends here, sober, wellness, yoga. I'm like, oh my gosh, I have the dream team out here. They're just so
Yeah.
peaceful people.
Yeah, it's so true. And a lot of times the people that are giving you that slack, it's really just it's just insecurity on their part and
Mhm.
they are not ready to address that. And you're so right, alcohol absolutely suppresses a lot of our feelings, whether it's negative, mostly negative, whether it's stress or past trauma and stuff like we don't want to address. But I am like you, I'm like, I just want to heal and I've always been like the grandma. So I like going to bed early. Like that's just like my jam. I like nights in versus nights out. But I think it's when we're in the quiet and if you're uncomfortable with the quiet and what that can bring up for you, that's when, yeah, people are like, how can I suppress this?
Yeah.
And keep moving on.
And the
Um,
grandma movement is in, I'll say that,
yes.
because I'm more like, even like on like dating apps, if we're going to take it there, like for me, it's like if someone is out and they're partying and they're posing with alcohol, to me, it's an immediate like,
No.
nah. And I
Yeah.
don't think it was always that way. So it's really actually interesting seeing how people who don't drink, not for me, not that it's like a snobby thing, but it is like, I really would like to be around people who
Yeah.
care about their health to the degree that they're willing to give up alcohol and other things.
Oh, for sure. I think it also says a lot too. Like if you are so resistant to it, there's usually something behind that. I don't know. I also like am a very intuitive person, so I can usually like
Yeah.
read people and even know their struggles, even if they don't know their struggles. I can just kind of
Yeah.
sometimes feel it. And so I'll just pick up on little cues like that. If someone's really hesitant on even just taking a 30-day break, that's usually a big red flag for me of
Mhm.
like if you're not even willing, and that's what goes with anything. A lot of the things too, like sugar and all these things, like if you're not even willing to do a 30-day break, there usually is something that's like, boop, red flag. Like you're either
Mhm.
addicted to it or you find comfort in it. There's something else that you need to
Yeah.
become a crutch for people. Which to kind of sidetrack, dating, how has that been with professional life, like balancing, taking care of your body, dating, working? I haven't touched on this topic, but how has that been?
Yeah, I will say dating is like probably last on the totem pole over my last 4 years. So I am kind of looking at my life in stages where I was in San Diego. I was very focused on getting my degree and being there and enjoying time with friends. And then the Austin chapter for the last 4 years has been more career and grinding and setting a firm foundation for myself. So I've always had my own place, never lived with a partner. I've dated here and there, but really haven't had anything serious. And
Okay.
I wouldn't take that back for the world because I've learned so much about who I am, what I want, what I like, what I don't like, what I will settle for, what I won't. And then as I mentioned to you earlier, I'm moving to Atlanta next month, which in time when this podcast is dropped, I will have hopefully already been somewhat settled in Atlanta. But the thought is that the next chapter is where I finally can invite the dating
More
scene,
dating.
and or just like have more time in my life for my slow zen era. I've been so career
I love
focused
that.
for years. There hasn't been time for any sort of like a partner long term, but I would like to end up finding someone and hopefully having some cute little kids someday, but it just hasn't been my time.
Yeah, no, I love that. And it's really key to be flexible with the different seasons. I know I use that in like people's healing seasons where there's healing seasons and there's seasons that you're not actively focusing on healing because you do feel better. And I feel like that's just with life in general. There's different seasons where you're like hyper focused on one thing. And if something
Mm-hmm.
comes to happen naturally, it comes to happen very naturally. But we can only focus on so many things at once. And this is a girl that like has usually five things, major things that are rotating on my plate
Yeah.
at that time. It's possible, obviously, because I've done it, but it's really nice when you can like focus on that one thing and give it your all.
Yeah.
Anything else that you'd want to cover about the mental health side of things? Because I know mental health is a big part of your story. And this is, I would say, probably, I don't know, in my opinion, maybe the harder thing of taking care of your body that I feel like I think it's harder than like deciding what's on your plate or getting movement in. I feel like those things are easy. And I feel like the mental health side of, yes, getting support can be easier nowadays because we have lots of resources, but
Yeah.
it's deep and sometimes it's dark for people and it's scary. And so,
Mm.
I don't know, share with us anything else you want to talk about with your mental health journey.
Yeah, I think just I've always wanted like what's the answer? Like what do I need to do to feel better? What do I need to do to get rid of the anxiety? And what I found is that what works in one season might not work in the next. What works for one person might not work for someone else. And I'll just kind of share a really dark time in my life because I think it's relevant. Is This was February of 2024. I was working full time as a speech language pathologist, but I also was building my business from the ground up. I was doing a ton of PR work. I had very little boundaries for work life balance. I really was malnourished when I think back to it. I wasn't getting enough protein.
Yeah.
And then I was having some mental health struggles, feeling like my attention, like I was having difficulty with attention. All this to basically turn into me trying and seeking to get help. And I was put on a medication that was not for me. And it was just a trial of sometimes you try things and they do not work. And
Yeah.
it's really not, I try not to like beat myself up for that time in my life, but there was 9 nights that I did not sleep, like not a wink of sleep. And I was going into like almost like hysteria because I was so overwhelmed, so stressed out, almost like an adrenal fatigue meets like
Yeah.
crisis meets being medicated with something that wasn't for me. So I say all this to say that like you have to really trust your own intuition and slowly find what works for you. Typically, at least for me, the quick fixes and the okay, finally, like this one medication will be the solution is typically not what works. It's the habit stacking. It's the doing yoga, even if it's not every day. It's the drinking water, even if it's you're missing the mark certain days.
Yeah.
But the most important part of all of that, I would say, is having support systems that want you to be the best that you want to be, not who they want you to be. And when I was,
Mm.
when I was drinking or when I was overly stressing, it was very focused on do more, have fun. And now the people in my life have slowly taken the time to get to know me that are like, didn't you say that you wanted to do XYZ? Maybe you need to move to Atlanta. Maybe that's what you do need for yourself, not what they want for me, because I'm going to leave them here. So that's kind of a big, long way of saying that like my journey has just been really trusting myself, but also finding people that are consistent and show up in my life, whether that's therapists, psychiatrists, and also like wellness healers.
Yeah, I love that. Do you have any resources that and this could
Ooh.
be apps, books, podcasts, anything that really stands out to you? And actually, in any regard, it could be mental health, it could be
Yeah.
business, but ones that just stand out to you.
Yeah. The thing, I'll just not even recommendations, but the things that helped me the most, number one with OCD was the company NoCD. It's NOCD.
Okay.
That's a platform. that's OCD specific therapy. The podcast, The Self Love Fix, I used to listen to that a lot when I first got to Austin. That was huge for me. Brightside Medical, that's what I use for psychiatry, where I just have quick, simple check ins, but also can grow rapport for the medication route of mental health. I'm also going off of medication because that's important to my Ayurvedic lifestyle. So
Yeah.
that's a big important piece. Every self-help book out there. And then if anyone's like sober curious and or has ever struggled with alcohol, honestly, just reach out to me directly. Whether are you going to have my LinkedIn in the notes?
Yes.
Just reach
We'll
out
have
to
yours.
me on LinkedIn directly, and I'm always open to chat in that space. And then yeah, just find what works for you. As simple as like going on Eventbrite and finding what is going on in your local area. That you don't need to just do what everyone else is doing. Do what you actually want to do.
Yeah, I love that. And as we wrap up, is there any other outside of LinkedIn? I will have that, and I do have your IG handle, but anything anywhere else that you want people to find you and connect with you?
Honestly, LinkedIn is what I'm on the most. And
Okay.
then, yeah, anyone's able to shoot me a quick message on there or my Instagram, the athlete strategist. I'm not on it as much because I am digital detoxing, but yeah,
Yes.
reach out to me on LinkedIn for sure.
Yay, amazing. Well, thank you so much for sharing your time and your
Yeah,
knowledge with us. It was so fun.
of course. Thank you so much for having me. This was a pleasure to talk about. I love talking about life, the depth of everything.
Oh, me too. I can go deep. All my friends know and everything. I'm like, if we can't go deep and you can't tell me how your stool is today, we're just not going to work.
Yeah,
It's just not going to work.
this isn't going to work. I love it.
Thanks.
Of course.